everyone, and welcome to Churchy Chats with a Church Girl. I'm Alicia Wiley. If this is your first time here, I am the owner and creator of a Church Girl, which is a lifestyle brand and a clothing line that seeks to inspire and uplift everyone we have the privilege of connecting with. As usual, we have some amazing guests tonight, and I want to get right on into it so we can get right into these juicy topics. Good evening, everyone. How y'all?
Good evening.
Good evening. Doing good. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. I'm gonna let you introduce yourselves, and then we're gonna get right to it. Paul, talk to the people.
Yes, first of all, Alicia, thank you so much for having us. I'm
Absolutely.
so excited to be here. Churchy Chats. That's right up my alley, being a church boy and a pastor's kid. I'm originally from Mississippi, but now I reside in Houston, Texas with
Come
my
on.
wife. We're still honeymooning. Been together two years, but we're going to let the honeymoon go as long as we can. I'm a
Amen.
young adult pastor and a podcaster called Real People Real Talk. And so my goal is to take people from surviving to thriving. And so that's me in a nutshell. And so
I'm
excited.
so glad you're here tonight. Thank you, and I'm excited about chatting with you.
Thank you.
Lexi.
Hey. Hey, y'all. So, my name is Lexi B. I'm a faith based inspirational speaker, entrepreneur, and podcast host. As a trauma survivor, my goal is really to inspire women to take charge of their stories and really get to know who God called them to be by understanding why God loves you, how he loves you, and what that love means for you. I also enjoy serving the world through my Christian lifestyle apparel brand called Godly and Ghetto, where we really just inspire everyone to get in real relationship with God, despite the perfection that religion casts upon it. Really, I'm just here to show people that no matter what you've been through, there is still hope and you can still smile.
I love that. I love Godly and Ghetto. I
Thank
like that.
you.
I'm gonna have to check. I have checked it out, but I need to dig a little
Thank you. And
deeper.
we're coming out with new shirts. So, yeah, check us
Okay,
out,
come on,
girl.
shirts. So glad to have you on, Lexi. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
being
Thank you for
here.
having me.
Reese,
Hey
the
girl.
homegirl.
Hey girl. Hi you guys. My name is Reese Nevis and I am in New Orleans, Louisiana. Let's see. I am 31 years old and the biggest thing ever is that I am a child of God. So that's the one thing, that I love to make known, that first and foremost, I am a child of God. I am an author. I have two books out. The first book is entitled Letters to My Future Husband. And the second one is Daily Inspirations. It's a 30-day devotional, just building faith, trust, and reliance in the word. I am married. My husband and I, we've been married for almost 4 years now, and we're still honeymooning too, Paul. So
Come on, honeymooners.
enjoy the ride. Enjoy the ride. So, I just enjoy encouraging people and just encouraging women as well. Hence my book, Letters to My Future Husband. And yeah, I'm excited to be here. Thanks again for having me and everybody else. And yeah, let's get this.
Absolutely. I'm so glad to have you, Reese. And I do have one of your books, your devotional book, and it is amazing. So thank you for being here. And we're going to jump right into our topics for tonight. So, last Tuesday, actually, there was the first presidential debate. Now, I know, the thoughts are endless. the Okay, here's what I want to ask you all about the debate because there's so many things that we could say. After seeing the debate, do you feel any differently about the election? Were you disappointed? Did it help you? Did it hurt? What in a nutshell, what did you make of the debate?
All right. So, in a nutshell, honestly, I believe that we need to take a gap year when it comes to this presidency thing, because just it was a mess. It was a mess. Like, I didn't even, like I said, I didn't watch the whole thing because I'm not like into politics, but I do read up on like the candidates and everything. But just
Sure.
seeing the clips of how they were bickering back and forth, and it was, we need a break. We need a break. And I honestly think like 2020 has just been too traumatic for us to even make a decision at this point.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean,
That's a
you're
point.
right. You're right. Very good point. Reese, Paul, what do y'all think?
Man,
Ooh, I watched it and I mean, I was just like at the end, I was like, more than ever, we just need to be praying, you guys. Much prayer. That's it. I mean, that's all we truly have the power to do. You know what I mean? And prayer works, only God knows what's
Absolutely.
best and what's needed for, this country. And, of course, we believe for somebody who's going to get in the White House and that's going to be a God fearing man, or a woman or whomever. Well, we have two men right now, so
Right.
yeah, but that's the impression that I was left with. I just shook my head and I honestly, I did pray, but we as a whole, we just need to pray.
Yes,
Prayer
yes.
works and it changes things. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. Paul,
whew,
what did you make of it?
man. I was disappointed, but not surprised. Disappointed, but
That
not
part.
surprised. And
That's the
as a,
tone.
say it again.
I said that's the tone of just
Right.
everything this year. They're disappointed but not surprised.
That's a word right there. And so I was also ashamed, just as an American, like these are the two people that we're going to be voting for, and y'all up here really just like y'all about to scrap. Like, can we be diplomatic and have me missing my president, Mr. Obama, had me really missing him and just the class that he brought to the office, and so yeah, yeah. Once that one soundbite, and then my dad called me. And we kind of talked about it when he told the Proud Boys to stand by, and he just want to come out
Yes.
and condemn it. Just as a
Yes.
Black American, I'm just like, bro, you gotta go. So
Yes.
yeah,
And then regardless of how he's gonna try to flip it however he did, but the Proud Boys, quote unquote, then took it and ran with it. And it's sad that we have a president that is allowed to create such a racial tone, a race like it's on the verge of being a race war at this point. And
Mm-hmm.
it's honestly
Absolutely.
kind of scary. And like Reese said, all we can do right now is really pray that something miraculous happens.
Yes, and what I truly don't understand is how people are so blind. The people who support him, I just, for the life of me, I can't just work it out in my head, right? Like you, first of all, when he was running, right, the things that he said and the things that he did,
yeah.
I thought certain would X him out,
Yes.
right? Because, the level of ridiculousness and the level of offense
Mm-hmm.
that happened while he was running, I just thought certain that it's no way that anybody's going to vote for him. But then to turn around and see people just blindly follow this man and blindly agree with everything that he says. And it was something online that I saw, and they went on the streets with Donald Trump quotes, but they said that it was Hitler, right? So everybody was like, these are horrible. Oh, this is this and that, and that, all this stuff. And then when they revealed that it was Trump, they tried to defend it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Yes.
like, this
Yes.
doesn't even make sense to me. So to say that we're here, to echo Paul's thoughts, come on, I'm not surprised, but it is a little bit still disappointing to
Yeah.
see. I mean, it's a mess,
Yeah.
right? And
And it's especially like the racial tone that we have right now. It's just this is the last thing we need, honestly. The last thing.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I was talking to somebody the other day, my hairdresser. I told her, I was like, America might think they want a race war, but they don't.
Mm-mm.
Like, we tired. We
Okay.
tired. Y'all don't want no race war. Y'all
Okay.
really don't want it. You
Right.
might
But
think
that's
you
why
want
they
it,
are not my ancestors.
okay? Y'all
Like,
might think y'all have guns, and you do, but you don't want no race war. We
right.
too tired for that, you know.
Okay. And you would think just after what happened over the summer, and
Mm.
just as a man, I just to be Black and Christian during the summer was so hurtful.
So
Oh God,
hurtful.
yes.
You would just think that after experiencing something like that, just maybe our president would have the courage to condemn white, white supremacy. Like, come
Yeah.
on now. And so that was really, as I already said, that was really disappointing. And and then seeing our Christian counterparts, still supporting him. I'm like, do you guys not see how we reading from the same Bible, but we come,
Absolutely.
That's the one thing I do not
look,
get.
I know,
Absolutely.
man. So I'll
And
leave it at
defended
that.
till the day you die. Like, this is God's chosen. I'm like, what? Y'all, I don't even know. I don't
See,
even know y'all.
they're missing the message of God's love. That's what it is.
Right.
They'll use anything that they can to flip it to fit the message that they want to, but
Right.
that's the part that they're missing, God's love.
Yeah, because it's just too much. It's just too much. But a couple of days after the debate, um, DT, that's my new name for him.
I call him
DT
45.
tested positive. You know, what
45.
anything but something official. But he tested positive for COVID-19. And I I'm gonna tell y'all what I thought, or what I said, and then I'm gonna let y'all weigh in on it. So my friend sent me a text, and she was like, it was the article, and then she sent me it was another article. Have you all seen the Simpsons episode or the picture of him in a casket? And they were like, the Simpsons hasn't shot a
Haven't
blank
been
yet or
wrong yet.
something like that. You're right. So
Yeah.
then she sent that. And my response was, the drunk driver always lives.
Mm.
And
Oh.
that was on
Mm.
Friday, I think, when she sent it. Because the person who caused all the madness, they always walk away. But
Right.
I don't even know if I believe. What do you all think? Do you all think that he really tested positive for COVID, or do you think it was all just a publicity stunt?
I think it's fake news.
Yeah.
Just like he says, it's fake news. That's what it is. Like it's real convenient to me that
Yes.
right after that S show that you put on, you
Yes.
now positive and can't, go to the rest of the debates. Like, that's real sus to me.
Right? Right. And then so close to the election, I just think it's awfully convenient for you to test positive for COVID and a vaccine magically appears and heals you. I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking outside the box, but
You
Reese,
You know
know,
Paul, what do
what? I didn't even think
you
about that point.
yeah,
You might be onto something. You
you know what
might
I'm
be.
saying?
Onto something. It's a whole lot. But one thing that I do know is that if he honestly did test positive for it, I do believe that it truly shows him that he's not exempt. You know what I mean? From
Yes.
any of this at all. Like, yeah, you're not exempt, sir. You're not higher than anybody or anything. So don't ever think that you are. You know what I mean? You're
That's
no
a very good point.
superpowers or you're no superhuman or anything of that sort.
Mhm.
The same way that it has touched and took the lives of over
Hmm.
200,000 Americans. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So I
Very
don't
good
know
point.
if it's real or if it's not real, but just speaking health and healing his way.
Yes, and
You're a
humble
very good Christian,
I
Reese.
know
and
that takes a
He's
humbling.
lot
in
of spiritual maturity
he's
Just
in
to
my
do
thoughts.
for him.
in his way. You know what I
He's
mean?
in
I'm
my
not
thoughts.
going to sit here and say that he deserved it or anything of that
Right.
sort. If he honestly did, test positive for it, then at least he gets to see, and experience some of the things that people have experienced.
Right.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yes.
but I mean, if you have what, 8 doctors that are taking care of you, I mean,
Right.
Definitely because he debunked the whole thing from the beginning. So for him to I really hope not. I don't pray this on anyone. For real. I know people that have had it,
I
and
had
from
it.
what
My
I
parents
hear,
had it.
it's not pretty. So I really
No.
don't wish it on anyone, but to me, for him to kind of debunk it, for him to finally see, okay, yeah, this is real. If he really does have it, then I pray that he learns something from it.
I hope so
Absolutely.
too. I really
Yeah.
do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a
Paul, what
lot
are
of
your thoughts?
irony there. How he was making fun of Vice President Biden for wearing his mask. Now all of a sudden he ends up with it, and so it just depends on which way you want to go with it. But as you guys already said, it's just so convenient. And 3 days later, you're in the best shape of your life, and you're in your 70s, and just some things just not quite adding up, my brother. And so
Right.
it's also kind of like a slap in the face to like all those that have suffered from COVID. Like, don't let it dominate you. Like, just because your spirit wills you, you can overcome it. So I think that was very dismissive as a person that's supposed to be president of all people. So, but if
Yes.
he does have it, the Christian in me prays for him. It's just like that's what you get. But as the Bible
Yeah,
says,
the flash, right? That's what he's
the spirit is
It's
willing.
always a battle.
The spirit is willing.
Listen,
The flesh is weak.
listen.
And so,
It is weak.
but
Lord have mercy.
the spirit won this week. I did pray that he
Ooh.
could. So the spirit
Oh, well,
won.
good. I'm glad your spirit won. Pray that mine win next week.
All we
I'm
can
just
do is pray
proud.
for improvement. That's it.
That's it.
Okay?
That is
That's
it.
it. That is
And
it.
it's just disappointing that we even have to have this conversation, right? About the leader of the free world, whether or not he has this virus. Like I can't imagine having this conversation about any other US president, that would actually lie about something like this just to get attention or just to get reelected.
Because he has
Honestly,
been
at
doing
this point,
everything in his power, really, to push back the
everything,
election or, stop the
everything.
mail-in. It's just at this point, I'm praying. Like, I would really hope that he wouldn't use this as some kind of publicity stunt. But then
Yeah.
again, you have to
You just never
realize
know.
who we're talking about and the type of stunts he's been pulling even before he got into presidency.
Absolutely. So we can just follow Paul's example and
Hmm.
read and keep him in our prayers. We're going to go to our first commercial break. Stay tuned. That was Bara Naturals. It is a Christian-owned CBD company. I want you to go back and watch last week's episode. We had the owner. She's a Christian, and she just gave us so much good information. So I want you to go back and watch that episode. And if you think you can have some use of her products, please take advantage of the 15% off. Okay, so something a little lighter, I guess. Um, so not too long ago, it was in the news that Tyler Perry is a billionaire, right? That he's now a billionaire.
Mm-hmm.
Mad props to Tyler Perry.
Okay.
And after seeing that, maybe 2 or 3 days later, I saw an article resurface from February where Lil Rel said that he's happy for Tyler Perry. He appreciates what he's doing, mad respect, but he needs more writers in his writers' room because you can't have a show called Sisters and you're not a sister and you don't have any women um giving insight or
Yeah.
having anything to say about it. Now a lot of people were saying leave him alone. He's rich, he did it. Y'all, so many people want to um criticize people. Black people are just crabs in a barrel and all of this. But while I want to get your opinion on what he said, is it possible for us to truly give constructive criticism and not be accused of it being hate or it being trying to pull one another down? Like, are we not allowed to say something about somebody who is successful? What do y'all think about that?
I think a lot of people are missing that scripture where it says to speak the truth in love. And so
Mm-hmm.
there's a way where you can give constructive criticism and just do it in the right way. But yeah, man, I don't understand how you can have a show called Sister and ain't no sisters in
Yeah.
it. Like, yeah, like even in various shows where there's like about cops,
Right.
they bring in cops and get their opinion so they can see how real they can get. And so, yeah, and it's not, it's not about being crabs in the barrel, but when you have somebody who's famous and who has a lot of influence and very public, there's nothing wrong with publicly holding him accountable.
Yeah.
I feel like he did in the right way. He said, "I'm proud of what He's done. I read the articles. I'm proud of what Tyler Perry has done.
Mhm.
I strive to get there, and then he just made that remark. And so it's one of the things like with the sandwich method, positive, negative, positive. I feel like he did it in the right way. So people can hate all they want, but he spoke the truth in love. If you got a show called Sisters, get a sister in there. Period. Blank, man.
Right. I
Yeah.
mean, I feel
Yeah.
like it would be no different than how we criticize these big billion-dollar, white
Absolutely.
companies who cater
Absolutely.
to who cater to black communities, but don't have black people in their boardrooms or helping them make decisions. I honestly don't feel as if it's any different with Tyler Perry.
Mhm.
Like he can come from a certain perspective. I mean, I'm pretty sure he grew up around black women, and
Sure.
he has some type of experience, but he doesn't have that full experience to know exactly what it is like. He can assume, but
Right.
then at
Right.
the same time, those assumptions may not be right, and you don't want to be spreading the wrong assumptions out to people on your big platform.
Mhm.
Right. Because it's
That
big.
was exactly my point. It is very big.
It's very big. And you have the money too, so why not bring in the sisters? You know?
Right.
Share the wealth.
The thing that you're saying, you advertise so much about building us up, bring us on.
Right.
It,
Right.
it doesn't. It's just that simple. He has access to, I'm sure, billions of black women that will be eager
Mhm.
to help him out, be eager. And honestly, he just needs another writer because I love him, but it's all starting.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
You
Yeah.
can say
I'm
that.
gonna say
I
it
already know.
because then I'm gonna be the hater.
Yeah. I
But I
mean,
mean, Lil
there's
Rel
no
said,
depth.
oh, I'm sorry, Alicia.
No, oh, and I'm gonna let you talk, Reese. Just no depth, and
Yeah.
I've tried. I love Tyler Perry as an individual that I don't know in Christ, right? But um, I'm not a fan of his work because the depth is not there for me. And I mean, that's that's all I can say. No shade.
I mean, because it's
You
just
made $1 billion. You've done your thing.
mm,
I just wish you offered something different, something with more depth to the
yeah,
African American community. Because,
yeah.
like Reese alluded to, and Lexi, your platform is
It's
huge. Your
huge.
reach is wide. You know, why are we not working harder to bring something that's a little more in depth?
And like you said, with the platform as well, but then not just the platform. I mean, think about the studio and stuff that you have.
Yeah,
Like,
Right.
what?
that's just for you.
What? But I think Lil Rel said something that a lot of people would be thinking. You know what I mean? He was just
Yeah.
the one that said it, you
Yeah.
know?
And so
So,
to kind of like hit on your point about whether we can speak up without feeling as if we're haters, a lot of the time, no, it doesn't feel as if you can openly express or criticize something without people looking at you as if you're trying to tear them down, when in all
Mhm.
actuality, I'm trying to help you be better. Because at the end of the day, if we're telling you that you need more black women to help you write black women's stories, then you probably should listen before people are starting to disconnect with the material you're putting out.
right,
Absolutely. And I
right.
think it's so important not just to have one black woman, but I mean, it's three black women on this panel tonight, right? And while some of our experiences may be similar, we still have a very different vantage point,
Mhm.
Mhm,
right? So
mhm.
I just think it could add so much. And even if you had another man, even his vantage point of a sister, you
Right.
see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Can
Yeah,
be
'cause
so different.
you have different upbringings, different backgrounds, different things that has, transformed you and kind of like governed your life at some point too, as well.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Yeah, so when I saw that, somebody made the point that Lexi made about, we have these people in these big corporations and these big media companies and production companies that don't call us in, or even, you don't hear about it quite as much as you used to, but it was even a time where they wouldn't even let actors of color come in. They would rather put makeup on, you know, a a lighter skinned person or whatever. And honestly, I know that's not the same thing, but I mean, it's all in the neighborhood to
Right.
me,
Yeah.
and I would like to talk to him. I would like to sit down and talk to him and say, what is the purpose of it being you, the only writer? I would just really like to know the rationale behind it.
He needs some real friends in his circle. I feel like because he is so successful and because he
Hmm.
has made such a name for himself, he possibly has a lot of yes men that are just letting, saying everything is a good idea, not combating. Or I mean, I hope it's not to the point where he's just doesn't want to listen to anybody. But I honestly feel like that could be the real issue, is no one's really criticizing him the way Lil
Hmm.
Rel did.
Yeah, and I
Mm-hmm.
did it tastefully. I don't think he
Right.
did anything
He
that
didn't,
was
he wasn't wrong. No.
offensive or anything like that. I just think we
Right.
always get accused of, well, you, Lil Rel, who are you? Because I read the comments just to see what people say about stuff, and they were like, "Who are you to talk? You wish you
Mhm.
were on his level." And I'm like, I get that, but I also understand where he's coming from, and where's the opportunity for other people that will give depth to your work and maybe can relate to people in a way that it hasn't been able before because you have a different perspective.
Right.
Right,
Mm-hmm.
right.
So let us pray about, add that to the prayer list, Paul. We just gonna keep praying. All
Okay.
right, guys, we're gonna take another commercial break. We'll be right back.
Bowtie Brown Productions presents Listen to My Thoughts with J. Damian Brown on Facebook every Tuesday at 9:59 p.m. Central Standard Time. Listen to My Thoughts, a Bowtie Brown production.
So, speaking of things that have resurfaced, um, it's a picture of a young lady with a twist out. For those of you who don't know what a twist out is, it's just when like you see my hair like it is now, two-strand twist. Tune in week after next, and you're gonna see my twist out. But it's just how we wear our hair, and it's an older white couple, kind of touching it and kind of smiling, and she's smiling. So again, to the comments, we shouldn't let people touch our hair. I'm not no animal. If you want to know about this or something, go to a museum, read. Um, it were just a lot of different comments. You shouldn't let people touch your hair because spirits can get into you through people touching your hair. I mean, the comments were off the chain, y'all. I ain't lying. But that made me start to think about the race relations in the United States, because one of the comments was, y'all are too old, because the couple was older. You all are too old to have never seen a black person.
Mm.
Mm.
But nobody, there wasn't a lot of history with the picture. It was just the picture, and maybe when it first surfaced, but this was like a resurface, so I didn't have a lot of, background. But should we allow other races to touch our hair? And this is kind of a segue to how we kind of deal with race relations, right? But I want to start with that. Should we let, if they're curious, how does that go? How do y'all feel about that?
Eh.
Don't
Look, I'm
touch my hair.
worried about this one.
Don't touch it. And there's a lot of layers to it for me.
Uh-huh.
One thing, like you said, the spirits, I do kind of like, I don't know where you've been. I don't know where your hands been. Now that it's COVID, no, you really can't touch me.
Right.
Secondly, it takes a lot of time to get my hair the way that I need it to get. And it could just, your little one strand, your little touch can mess up something. So I don't believe in it. I don't understand what the fascination is about it. I don't
Let me
know,
ask you
because
this,
I don't
Lexi.
go
Is
up
that in
to other
general, though?
races. I mean, for me in general, because
You don't want anybody to touch it, black or white?
like not unless you're doing it.
Right. Okay.
Not unless you're doing it. If you're doing my hair, fine. But
Right.
that's just a personal thing for me. And I think it like I get kind of triggered because I went to and basically predominantly white college. And
Mhm.
so I had a white roommate, and she kind of just always liked to reach out. And I like I said, I understand it's fascinating,
Sure.
especially when it comes to people of other races who are not around Black people a
Mhm.
lot. It's something you never seen before. It's magical. It defies gravity. Yeah, it's great, but it's mine. And I don't want to touch yours. And even if I did, I wouldn't just try to reach out and touch it without asking for your permission. I
Sure.
feel like that should at least be common courtesy, is to at least
Yeah. So
ask
if they
for
ask you,
permission.
do
I
you
mean,
say yes or no?
I'm still probably going to say no.
That's fair.
I'm
That's
still
fair.
going to probably say no, but I would appreciate, instead, because then it gives me the opportunity to decline nicely rather
Absolutely.
than having
Don't
to
touch my
yank
hair.
back. And now
Right.
you think that I'm an angry Black woman or something.
Mhm.
So that's
Reese.
just my opinion. I don't like when people touch my hair.
Okay.
Um,
That's fair. That is completely fair. Reese, we coming to you, Paul. I know you're ready. Reese, how do you feel about it?
So I'm kind of like halfway about it, you know.
Mhm.
Lexi said, you know, if they ask, well, I mean, she said, yeah, even if you ask, you know, I have the right to decline and say no, you know.
Absolutely.
But so I live here for 6 months out of the year, and
Mhm.
since my husband and I had been married, I live in Canada also for 6 months out
Oh,
of the year.
wow.
And in Canada, there, of course, they don't really see too many Black Americans. There's tons
Mhm.
of Africans there, a lot of
Okay.
people from that side, you know.
Mhm.
In his profession, 9 times out of 10, I'm like one of the Black girls that would be there. And so I'm
Sure.
around a whole bunch of different races. And, you know, of course, I'll probably show up with some braids for like a month or two or something.
Right.
Next, you know, I show up with a unit on, or, you know,
Oh,
all
yeah.
different
you know how we switch it up.
Right.
Yeah, that's our superpower.
right. So of course, I'm always faced with, ooh, they're always just so fascinated about my hair.
Yeah.
Can I touch your hair? Wait, it was short like a month ago.
Right.
You know, it's longer now. So how did that happen? Like,
Right.
how did they put it in? And so one time I found myself in a private setting with one of the girls, and she
Mhm.
was just really fascinated. So I kind of just like gave her a rundown about a lot of different things. And in that
Yeah.
moment, you know, with our relationship, she did ask me, she said, "Can I touch your hair?" Because at that point I had actually done a twist out. So that was even different, you know?
Sure.
And she was like, "Can I just touch it?" And I was like, you know, it felt weird a little, but then I was like, "Okay, yeah, girl, you can just, you know, just go ahead on and touch it." And she was just
Yeah.
so fascinated, I guess, because with our hair and stuff, we can do so much stuff with
Mhm.
it. You know, and I think that's like one of the biggest things that draws them to wanting to touch it or wanting to
Sure.
know more about it. Because if I had straight hair all the time, and most times they don't even really know what to do with their hair. You know what I mean? The
Sure.
creativity just isn't there. So
Yeah.
when they have the opportunity to see somebody like us, you know, and we can be creative with our hair, do all kinds of different things, you know, and
Yeah.
still look good. So I'm okay with it, but I mean, I wouldn't be walking around like, okay, yeah, you can touch my hair, don't touch my hair, you know, whatever. But
Right.
And
yeah,
see, like, I have no problem with the whole education part
yeah,
of it. Like, I will sit there and talk to you about how it gets short, longer, how I change it up, you know. And I not even just with hair. I like to educate other people when it comes to race issues, like
Mhm.
especially with everything that's going on. Because I feel
Sure.
like if I'm going to complain about how you are, you know, how we are being treated, and people don't understand, I at least want to take the opportunity to educate you on what's going on. But
Sure.
yeah, I'm still not gonna let you touch my hair.
Yeah.
Still don't touch the hair. Paul, how do you feel about it? How do you feel about the curiosity?
I had to process this with my wife because my wife wears her hair natural. I'm like, I don't know what I'm gonna say with this because you know. But there's some irony there because I grew up and my sister was a cosmetologist, and
Okay.
so she did hair, and so you think I would not have made this mistake. But anyway, I go to college, I do my first banking account. My banker, she's a Black woman. At one point, her
Uh-huh.
hair was short. Come back a couple months later, it was long, and I made please don't take my Black card. But I said, man, your hair really grown. And it was
Oh,
just like, no, I'm about to hand over my black card. And I was just looking back on that moment, I just cringed and I just wonder how she felt. And so one more story, like I was so I'm a pastor. We was at the preaching team meeting, and it was all men and one ladies to the Southern Baptist. They still got to catch up with, God can speak through anybody and everybody, but I digress on that.
uh-huh.
I'm Baptist Gospel, but that's not the point. So anyway,
Yes, me too.
the lady sat beside me. I don't know what text we was in, and this was at first I had a taper where it just well, I ain't had waves in. But anyway, so I grew it out where I can kind of sponge it. And so all of a sudden she just reached over and said, "Hey, can I touch your hair?" But the thing was, she didn't wait on an answer before
Right,
she touched
right.
my hair. And so, and honestly, like I was like offended, but I was
Hmm.
like, you can't wait on the answer. And
Sure.
so I guess like the original question, like if they and we all can agree with this, it's okay for them to ask, but then they just got to accept our answer.
Yeah.
Sure.
So that's my one little taste of my
Yeah.
almost
I
black
think
card vote.
Oh, like I almost had to do one of these.
Like,
don't touch me. Yeah. But I think that applies to anybody though, right?
I
Like
wouldn't do that to her.
I would not try to touch anybody without, I mean, more than on their arm or on their hand, even in conversation. Um, I would never touch your face. I would never
Yeah.
touch your hair without permission. But I really think it depends on the situation for me. If it was a white person asking to touch my hair, because like Reese's situation, if you're in a situation where you've had a conversation and you're kind of trying to explain things, because what I thought of is with us being so different, even within our own nationality, right? So my mother is a lighter skinned black woman, right? Her hair is not coarse like mine. My sister's hair is closer to mine, but it's still not coarse like mine. So I started to think about as a child, the curiosity of children and seeing, okay, well, my hair doesn't look like mommy's hair. So if my baby asked me to touch mommy's hair because they were curious, then what would I say? Right? What would my um thoughts or feelings be? And I'm pretty sure it would be that this is innocent and they're curious. So I think it just all depends on where it's coming from,
Mm.
where the place that it's coming from. Now as it relates to people, spirits and stuff, listen, I, if I'm not feeling your spirit like that, you're not even close enough to me to touch me.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna have to run up on
That
me.
part.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Like
Mhm.
I don't I'm not saying that you are able to completely control everything and everybody around you.
Right.
But if I'm not feeling you, then if we have to be here, if we have to do whatever it is that we're doing, fine. But I give me 6 feet,
Right.
and that has nothing to do with COVID. That
No.
just has everything to do with my comfort level.
Mhm.
But I think it really depends. I don't think it is something that is super offensive unless it is out of malice. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? Unless it's just something that somebody is intentionally doing to be mean.
Mm.
But I don't necessarily see why somebody would want to touch your hair just out of, well, I mean, you have the mean girls. And by that I mean men and women who just have that attitude towards things, right? And they're just doing it kind of to taunt you in a way. Like, what does it feel like? Does it feel like, hey, like that kind of thing? Because then I'm gonna have to backhand you or something like that. And I really don't, I don't want to get into anything like that. But I think it just really depends on the heart of the person and where it's coming from.
Right. And then I don't
Another
think I've
thing.
ever really taken offense to anyone
Mhm.
just simply asking or even simply just reaching. I just feel I think where the offense comes in is if you don't take that as a moment to learn why
Sure.
I don't want you to touch my hair and instead take offense or just like I said, I've had to jump back and people just automatically think of me as the angry black woman instead of taking a step back and trying to learn why I may not want you to, touch my hair type of thing. So
Right. And
yeah,
I've
but
had
even then,
people.
I try not to take offense because like I said, it's beautiful. Sometimes when I see other Black women's hair, I am
Sure.
fascinated. So it's just
Right.
like I can
Like,
Right.
understand
yes.
why you want to touch it, but let's
Right.
talk
It's
about
still
it
very
first.
personal. Right. But
Yes.
I've had
Right.
people because I've had long hair all of my life. So I remember I was working at a car dealership. I worked at the service counter, right? So the lady comes up and she was just talking down. Now I'm looking down, getting paperwork prepared, right? And she literally puts her hand in my head to feel.
Oh,
And I'm like,
Yeah.
the so many levels of disrespect, lady. And she was a black lady, right? So I've had people to always like put their hands in my head. And I hate it, right? Because you have no business. First of all, are your hands even clean?
Yes.
Right.
You know,
and then as
like,
a Black woman, you should automatically know you
yeah.
shouldn't be doing that. Like we're seeing other
Rude.
And
people
then
with hair, so this is
I was
cool.
so okay. So I was super aggravated by it. And I think it's just more of the respect. Even if you thought it was fake. I mean, even if I lie, what difference does it make? I mean, I don't even
Oh, it is.
know you.
Okay, business.
But but people feel like they have that right to you.
Mm,
Whatever. I don't know
that
what
entitlement.
gives people that right.
Yeah.
Yes, and I think that's the big deal for me. So it's all about how you do it for me. And for black women that think it's okay to put your hand in other black women's heads, just don't do it. It's just not a good idea. Okay? Let's not do that.
Right.
So, guys, we're going to take one more commercial break. And when we come back, I'm going to let our guest panelists just give a word of encouragement to you. We've talked about in the beginning how, and to Paul's point, just how kind of disappointing and difficult this year has been for Black people, for Black Christians, for true Christians. I know that's probably controversial, but it has been tough and it's been
Yeah.
increasingly tough. And I'm going to be honest before we go to the break and then we'll come back and I'll let y'all share. But even on social media, sometimes I look at posts and I can get, some encouragement. But here lately, I've just been kind of like, I need something more. You know what I mean? And of course, I know where to get it and not no social media is not my source, but what I mean by that is everything you see on social media is pretty much a blanket statement or it's just very surface. Even the things that go into depth are still very surface and still um, to some degree very superficial, but that is kind of the name of the game. I'm not condemning social media at all, but what I do want to provide is just a place of hope and encouragement. So right after this commercial break, our guests are going to come back and just give you a little word of encouragement. We'll be right back. So I'll let you all decide who wants to go first.
I'll go ahead.
Okay.
Mine's gonna be short, swimple, short and simple.
And Lexi, I'm gonna come in right before you start. Right
Mhm.
when you're ending, tell everybody where they can find you, your social media, everything that you have going on. Go ahead and just tack that on the end.
All right. All right. So, y'all, my word of encouragement today is don't allow the world to tell you who you are. Instead, find out who God has called you to be. Your pain has purpose, and your purpose is powerful. Nothing is in vain when you give it to God. So I can be found on Instagram. I have 3 different platforms. My personal page is the Lexi B. I can also be found on my podcast, my Christian mental health podcast page, which is God Plus Girl Pod. That is GOD PlusGirlPod. We have new episodes every Thursday. So check us out, and we are available on whatever platform you like to listen to your podcast on. Also, you can check out my Christian lifestyle apparel brand, Godly and Ghetto, at
Love it.
www.godlyandghetto.com. And we can also be found on Instagram at Godly and Ghetto. So make sure you sign up for the newsletter to be notified when this sweatshirt drops.
I need to know because I need it in my life. Thank you so much, Lexi, for that
you.
word, and thank you for being with us tonight on
Thank you
Churchy
for
Chats.
having me. This
Reese,
was
Paul,
absolutely
who's
fun.
up next?
Okay, I'll go. Like Lexi said, just short and sweet. I know that we've all been through so much this year. There's so many changes that has taken place, but in the changes, are you going to allow those changes to change you for the better, or are you going to allow them to change you for the worst? I mean, even despite of the election, COVID, just everything that has transpired and even things that are happening today, I mean, God still has our best interest at heart.
Mhm.
Like we're not going to operate in our own strength, in our own might. You know what I mean? That's what God is for, to constantly fill us up and uplift us. And he is that strong tower that we can run to, that we can find peace, that we can find joy, that we can find strength in, even when chaos is taking place in the world, Look, I am encouraged, and I just want to encourage you guys to just continue to trust God. Like he's going to be with you always, if you allow him to be, because he's always with us. His presence is always with us, whether we feel it, because we don't want to operate in our flesh. We're not going to, walk by the things that we see and allow those things to, control us. So don't allow these moments to make you make decisions, I guess, or allow you to act in a way, you know what I mean, that would just completely alter what God has for you, his bestest right now. I mean, think about so many people who have come out of the quarantine. Of course, we're still quarantining and practicing social distancing and all of that, but there's so much to be done. There's so many gifts and so many talents that are now being, recognized or now being utilized. So in the time that you have, find time to, quiet time. I'm sure all of us are busy and you have kids or you're married or your job or whatever it may be, but just setting some time aside, making a decisive decision on a daily basis to just set that time aside, just to be with God and just to allow yourself, to hear from him and him to fill up your inner man so that things that are in you can flow out of you, So that's my message. Just be encouraged and just continue to trust God, because at the end, guess what? Heaven and earth is going to pass away, but God's word is still going to remain. It's going to always the same, so we can always trust in God's word. So you can find my books. I have them here. You can find my books at Reese Nevis. .com. I am on social media, Facebook, Reese Nevis, Instagram, Reese Nevis as well. And thanks again, Alicia, for having me.
Absolutely. I'm so glad. I actually became friends with you on, I think, Instagram. I started following you on Instagram, and then Tawana. Tawana kind of connected us. So she told me about you, and I think I had connected with you like the day before. So I knew it was a God connection. So I appreciate you being here and every blessing on everything that you're doing and all your endeavors.
Thank you.
All right, Paul.
Well, friends,
you're up.
Yes, in the book of Genesis, when God was doing his creation thing, when he got to the end of every day, except for day 2, but that's a theological discussion for another day. But the end of every day, he would say, it's good.
Yeah.
And I'm just here to tell you, if what you're going through right now is not good, that means that God is not finished. And to say that 2020 has been a tough year will probably be the understatement of the decade, century, or millennium. And so we're in the fourth quarter of this year. A lot of we saw a lot of memes at the beginning of the year. Throw the whole year away. Throw the whole decade away. I'm here to say the devil's a lie. This is still your year. This is still your year to not just survive, but to thrive, to be and do all that God has called you to do. And lastly, one thing that has been in my spirit all of 2020 is to shoot your shot. And when I say that, do the thing that God has been stirring in your heart to do. whether it's to write a book, to start a clothing line, to start a podcast, to start a YouTube, to publish your poetry, or to go all in on your music, to go to school, go back to school. You know what God is calling you to do. So I want to encourage you to shoot your shot like Peter did. Peter got out of the boat and walked on
Yes, he
water.
did.
But he would never would have walked on water if he didn't get out the boat. And so God is talking to you. You need to get out the boat, shoot your shot, and do the thing that God has called you to do. And so you can find me. My podcast is available wherever podcasts are. It's called Real People, Real Talk. Like I say, my goal is to take people from surviving to thriving with 5 pillars. Spiritually, you got to know Jesus. That's first and foremost. If you don't know him,
Hmm.
I pray for you. I love you, and I pray for you. But then
Yeah.
mentally, physically, relationally, and financially, I believe in holistic health. Yes, I want you to know Jesus, but I want you to get your body right. I want you to get your money right. I want you to get your mental right. Have healthy relationships. So real people, real talk, and that's me. And so God bless you. Shoot your shot. And Alicia, thank you for having me. And it's been an honor talking with this black excellence on here.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Paul. Thank you for being here tonight. Thank you for that encouraging word. All of you, everything that each of you said touched me. So I appreciate that. I appreciate you sharing. You all are amazing. You all are doing amazing things for Christ. I just encourage you to keep growing and keep glowing and keep allowing God to use you in your platforms. I'm just one thing about this show that it has helped me to do is to connect with like-minded Christian influencers and individuals. And I have not met one person yet that I've been, um, I hate to say this, but disappointed um, that I met. Everybody that I've met has been an encouragement to me. People have connected with one another. It's just, it brings me great joy and it lets me know that I am doing what God has, ordained me to do.
Amen.
And what I think Paul and Reese said, um, this is the perfect time. Churchy Chats was birthed out of the pandemic. I thought about it and uh, I was like, that's stupid. I was like, people not gonna like it. I was like, Churchy Chats. I was like, is that even? I went through the whole thing, right? And then I was finally like, nope. You're gonna get you some guests. You're gonna make you a flyer, and you're gonna do it, sis. You're going to do it, and I
Yeah.
just thank God. That was in May,
God
and
birthed
here
some
we are in
crazy
October.
things in
Mhm.
this
Yes,
pandemic. He birthed some crazy things. I
yes.
started my business during this
See,
pandemic. He gave me the green light because I've had this idea for a year now. Never knew when it was going to come about,
hmm
never knew when he was going to tell me to go. And once I lost my 2 jobs, I was really unsure. And he was like, no, you're going to do it. Go
yep,
ahead.
yes.
And so he's been working amazing and wonders even through all the craziness.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So anybody out there, I think the word for the night is to go for it. Take
Yeah.
your time, spend your time with God, make sure you're hearing from here clearly and shoot your shot.
Shoot it.
We are waiting.
Walk by faith. Yes. Step out.
Yes.
Step
Yes, we
out.
are waiting.
You ain't
We are
gonna fail
waiting.
with God on your
I'm
side.
gonna get
See?
myself right now too. Okay.
See? We all have a story. We all have a starting point,
Yeah.
right? So we have to start somewhere and we have to trust God because this pandemic has taught us the grass withers, the flower fades, right? But the word
Yes,
of our God shall stand forever. So
forever.
we know that that's the only thing that's eternal. And
Yes.
I can quote songs and stuff all day, but the fact of the matter is we really do have to build our hope on things eternal because everything is Reese said we were talking about something but this earth and this heaven and earth, sorry, y'all, pestilence, will pass away, right? The only thing that will stand at the end is God and what we do for God. Only
Yeah.
what you do for God will last. So I am excited about each one of your lives and your future and everything that you are doing to help to build God's kingdom. I
Yes. I'm
appreciate you all.
excited
And
for
I'm going to
you
ask
as
you all
well.
on the spot if you will come back to Churchy Chats. I need you back. I need you back.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Of
Yes. So
course.
everybody will be
Yeah.
back. I'm super excited about that. So, guys, next week we have another great panel of Christian influencers. I appreciate you tuning in tonight. I appreciate you tuning in week after week. I do not take it for granted, but you can find us here as always next week, same place, same time, right here on Churchy Chats with the Church Girl. Good night.